Internet, what is really, really, really good? You know who it is. It's the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And of course, I'd like to welcome you guys back to another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And yo! Woo-wee, man. Oh, boy. Uncle Triple's been a happy camper all day long today. New episode of Ruby aside, which you should have already watched by now, because this right here is the encore for Saturday evening. Because I woke up this morning, and I woke up to an interesting bit of news. You might be wondering what that news is, which is why we are here to talk about it. And I, and we being me, Inti Creates is going to remake Blaster Master. You might be wondering, why is this so important? I'm glad you may or may not have asked that question. Let's start with side A. The wonderful folks at Inti Creates, who, by the way, happy 20th anniversary to all you wonderful folks and everything that you have provided us game fans. Because I'm going to say this, and I just need y'all to fuck with me through this whole thing, please. Inti Creates is responsible for the revitalization and, dare I say, reinvention of how action platformers works with the games, with the Mega Man Zero series. That game, for all of its right, wrong, and otherwise, which is going to be a theme through this whole thing, for all of the series of Mega Man Zero, all four games, they're right, wrong, and otherwise, all of it, well, actually six, because you can technically count ZX in those games. Those games changed how action platformers are looked at and played. The genre hasn't gone backwards from Mega Man Zero at all. And you have Inti Creates to thank for that. Is that, honestly, and I'm going to say this because I just need y'all again to keep fucking with your boy. I have always looked at Mega Man Zero as I look at games that are part of the Mega Man series that are action platformers, is that the Mega Man Zero series, to me, are like the Street Fighter EX games. Except a lot more lauded and praised for what they actually did for the damn genre in the first place. But in the instance of when I had my opportunity to talk about Street Fighter EX, I described it as a game for Street Fighter players. Mega Man Zero and all of its subsequent games are games made for those who play action platformers. Not those looking to get... This is not... None of the Mega Man Zeros and even ZX for that matter, or ZX7, are not my first action platformer games. No. It's that when it got to ZX and ZX7, it got a little in there where it kind of dialed back a little bit. But 0, 1 through 4... them games ain't no joke. They are wonderful video games that will push you to your absolute limit. But those games are no joke. I will say this. One of the things that personally, always in my view, that held those games back they were Game Boy Advance games. I'm like, I really didn't get a chance to really enjoy what Mega Man Zero was until I played all four of the games on my Game Boy player. It wasn't until I played those games with a controller that I felt like I was really, really getting the game down the way that I wanted to. Because those games are games that I always felt should be played with a controller. Another example of this are the first two Dissidia games on PSP, because those are games that should be played with a controller, and you'll soon be playing a version of that game with a controller. But anyway, that was my only hang-up with the Zero series, was that those were games that you played on a portable system, and to me, because of what the Game Boy Advance was, and how big my giant fucking thumbs are, is that sometimes I would make platforming mistakes because I would press right just a little too much, or I would do this or I would do that. The games were fine. It's just that my execution wasn't the best. But it wasn't until I had a controller in my hand and playing it on the TV that the game just felt right. So at this point, This will be the point where I will tell you that all 4 Mega Man Zero games are available on the Virtual Console and the Wii U. So here's an idea. Spend some money. Play some wonderful action platformer games that have since changed how that genre is looked at and played. Since we're on the Wii U, we need to backtrace a little bit. Back to about 2008. We should do that. You want to know why? Because that retro revival that is still enjoyed by all of you people since Inti Creates helped prove with Mega Man 9 that putting retro games up like that can work. I'm not sitting up here discrediting anything that was done with the Xbox Live Arcade service. But Mega Man 9 in 2008 is honestly, for me, in our history where I felt that turned a corner. And Mega Man 9 is a great video game, regardless of all of the history that I feel that it makes as a game that has changed how games like that can be delivered, how they can be created, and how we enjoy what we love. I don't know if when I reviewed Mega Man 9 that I ever got around to it. But as a person who is a lot more mature, who understands that, Mega Man 9 is very important to what we do right now. So you all have Inti Creates to thank for that. Mega Man 10 wasn't the best game. It wasn't the best game, but it was a good game. Mega Man 9 is an amazing video game and should be played by everybody. Mega Man 9 has the right to stand by 2, 3, and 4 as the best that series has ever produced. I've talked about this and will. I have a soft spot for 7 because that was technically, honestly, my first Mega Man game. Mega Man 7. I have a soft spot for it. It's a great game, but it's not the best game in the series. I even have a soft spot for Mega Man 8 because the world hates it. The world hates Mega Man 8 for whatever damn reason, but I love it because y'all hate the shit. It's something special about Mega Man 8 that I think people don't get. Is that and this little mini sequel, Mega Man and Bass, or Mega Man and Bass to piss the internet off, is a great little demo for what Mega Man 8 did. But we could talk all day about the Mega Man series, and one day, Run That Rex will get there. But I'm just saying, just taking 2 seconds to say that, Inti Creates has been responsible for a lot. Hell, if we gonna continue, let's give it up for fucking Galgun, son. Let's go ahead and let's give a hip hip hooray for all of those high school waifus that you sitting up here and spraying your pheromones on. And also that $90 DLC, which no one should ever buy. I really honestly sat up here and really thought about buying the $90 DLC for shits and giggles to make a video to show people what the fuck it did. But then I remember I don't have $90 to spend on that. I don't. Not because it's $90 DLC, but because I could think of a lot better things than to see through teenage high school girls' clothes for $90. So, yeah. You should import the original Galgun, by the way. You should do that. That game is made to be played with a move controller. The move controller isn't perfect, but it's as close as you can get. And it's sad to see that, especially with the Nintendo Switch coming out and everything that's happening, that light guns are a dead thing at home now. Is that it'll make its comeback in VR and stuff, but it's sad to see that the genre is going by the wayside. So I was looking for that a nice port of Virtual Cop 3 Sega, a nice port of the original House of the Dead. Oh, but I guess that shit ain't gonna happen. I wanted to kind of play, some Maximum Force, some Area 51. No, not gonna happen. Nintendo stopped with Duck Hunt on the Virtual Console. So I guess we're not getting Mortal Kombat Falcon's Revenge, one of the greatest Super Nintendo games, period. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just putting that out there. Light gun genre is dead, but it's good to see that it lives on in a special way in Galgun and in Double Peace, which, if you haven't bought that, you should get that to show that amazing game should be supported. Then comes Azure Striker Gunvolt. Azure Striker Gunvolt is no Mega Man Zero. But what Azure Striker Gunvolt does that I do appreciate is that it does the one thing that Mega Man Zero didn't have the opportunity to do. To be open to all players of all skill levels. That game is beatable. Azure Striker Gunvolt, for all of its combo nastiness and how greedy that game gets, at a base, that game is beatable. And that's why I like it so much, because that game is beatable by anybody. Where Mega Man Zero is too hard for most hardcore gamers to get through. Azure Striker Gunvolt, that's a game anybody can fuck with. Anybody! The same thing, the same issue that we talked about earlier with Mega Man Zero is an issue that is now solved by playing the Steam version of Gunvolt. You should play Azure Striker Gunvolt on Steam. You shouldn't play the game any other way. I'm not saying don't buy it on DS. On the 3DS shop, I mean. But what I am saying is, if you have the opportunity to play that game with a controller, maybe you should play the game with a controller. Because those are games that should be played with a controller. That's all I'm saying. Is that even when I beat Gunvolt 1 on the 3DS, I had a 3DS XL to do it with. And it was like, it was more comfort fitting. It wasn't like how I talked about earlier with the Game Boy Advance, where I felt like I wasn't quite in control when I played it on the Game Boy Advance, but there was when I played it on my Game Boy player. Azure Striker Gunvolt should be played on Steam. That's just what you should do. I have a feeling that maybe you should wait and see what's going to happen to see if Gunvolt 2 is going to be playable on Steam at some point. Just saying. Just putting it out there for the streets, let you know. Maybe you should wait on that. Because the little piece I played when I opened my Striker pack was, yeah, it's more of what I loved about the first game, with more stuff to do. Now I gotta get me a Shovel Knight amiibo. I haven't got a chance to play with Coping yet, so stuff and things. But that's a Gunvolt game first. I'll play with Coping when I get some time. The point all of that was making was, when I hear that the people responsible for the revitalization and the rebirth of the action platform genre, the people who are responsible for the right turn the retro revival took when it comes to digital games, the people who brought you $90 DLC, and the people who make an amazing series in Azure Striker Gunvolt, are going to remake one of the most important video games from my childhood, I am not only excited, I am ready to play whatever Inti Creates thinks Blasted Master should be. When I saw that announcement this morning, I cried a little bit because of how much Blaster Master means to me. Because just to give you a demo of what the first episode of Run That Race Blaster Master is going to be, you're going to hear a story about how the first time I played Blaster Master over in my Aunt Trish's house. You know what I'm saying? How I still, in my basement, own a copy of this video game that I found at a swap meet for $2. This game, Blaster Master on the NES, is fucking amazing. Blaster Master is one of those games, you ask me on a random day of the week what my favorite game is, this might be the game that comes out of my mouth. That's how great that game is. But, and I'm going to say but, as with most games in the early part of our video game history, there is a lot of right, a lot of wrong, and a lot of otherwise when it comes to Blaster Master and what it does. A lot of the wrong and otherwise can be solved by modern day things, by save states and shit. At the same time, it also could be circumvented by, getting good at the fucking video game. I don't know. It was at one point I played that Blade Blaster Master so much I could beat Blaster Master in my sleep. That's how much time I have spent with Jason Frutnik and Sophia the Third. I played Blaster Master on the NES so much I could beat the game in my sleep. I couldn't now, but ask me about 10, 15 years ago, could beat Blaster Master in my sleep, could tell you where everything is, where exactly to go. But the thing is that because the point I'm trying to get to, at least with this, is you should play Blaster Master if you've never have with no guide. That before I figured out how to play the game, I spent time just getting lost in the world. It's like, because that game is a huge interconnected world. If you don't know what you're doing, you're just riding around with Sophia to a blow up, getting lost, trying to figure out where to go. Something about, it's not about the journey, it's the destination, or the reverse. It's actually the reverse of that. It is not about the destination, the journey to get there. Blaster Master with no guide is that. It's about the journey to the destination where you die a whole bunch because you don't quite understand how Sophia works, or how every time Jason gets hit, his gun gets weaker because, video games in the year 1998. Fuck if I know. The little bit I have seen of what Entry Creates wants to do with Blaster Master is what I like to call column A and column B. Column A is a lot of what localization can do in the year 1998. Have you ever known the plot of Blaster Master if you've never played it? Let Uncle Triple school you on what the plot of Blaster Master is, okay? There's this kid named Jason Frutnik who has a frog in a glass cage. This frog decides, well, fuck it. I'm breaking out of this cage because I want to be free. So he frees himself from his bondage and slavery as this kid's pet. Hops down a hole, trips in some radioactive acid, grows 10 times its normal size, and hops through a hole. Jason, I need to go get my radioactive frog back, so I am going to hop into this hole, damn near break my collarbone, but, landing down here at the bottom of this hole, there's an armored tank with a suit that just happens to fit me, and I'm in it, and now I'm fighting monsters and shit to find my frog. That is localization for the year 1988. To bring this full circle. The game that Blaster Master was localized from is a game called Cho Wakusei Senki Metafight. The plot, a whole lot different. There's this dude named Kane Gardner, who is the last standing warrior of this planet called Sophia the Third. Aliens invade the planet where he lives, so the princess is like, "You're our greatest warrior, go kill the alien fuckers!" And he does it. Do you see the differences? Warring on alien planet, radioactive frog. Column A, column B. The thing is, what Inti Creates show with their Blaster Master Zero remake is that the look is a lot of column B, because a lot of the box art for the original Metafight was really anime inspired. Really anime inspired. So it's like a lot of what Inti Creates do is really anime inspired, so it's taking a lot from column B. A lot of the story does take place in column B that is on a different planet and things like that. A lot of what it also is a lot of column A because of Fred the Frog. Fred, instead of it being a frog, it's like an alien monster that Jason watches, and then it escapes, and then he builds Sophia the Third to go chase it. I'm not really making any sense of this. I don't really care, because fucking Inti Creates is making Blaster Master. You could have told me the story was go shoot shit, and it'd be Inti Creates is making Blaster Master, skip the rest, please. I'm like, the thing is, when it comes to Blaster Master, the franchise itself, that, however, is a little bit different, because after you get past Blaster Master 1, you get a whole bunch of things of quality for the most part. You got Blaster Master Boy, which was technically a Bomberman game remade into a Blaster Master game, so it's non-canon as fuck. You got Blaster Master 2 for the Sega Genesis, and that game is, what's the word I want to call it? Oh, yeah, here it is, shit. Because the game isn't good at all. How about that? A game that had everything it took to be a good game, and it just fails on every possible thing that it can do. That the game is playable. Like, you can play the video game. That's about all you can do. Blaster Master Enemy Below is like the game you should play. If you played the original Blaster Master and you like what you played, then you play Enemy Below. That's what you do. For real, seriously, no bullshit. If you play the original Blaster Master on NES and like, yo, I want some more of what that is right there, you play some Blaster Master Enemy Below, because that game is a lot of what you know, but none of what you know. So, like I said, if you want more Blaster Master, Enemy Below is the game to look at. And then you have Blaster Master Blasting Again. That was the last game that came out on PSN. I had the opportunity to play it a couple of years ago when it came out on PSN, though, but it's an alright game. It's nothing to write home about, but it's better than everything that's not Enemy Below. And the original Blaster Master, of course, because there ain't many games standing up to that. It's a decent game. I suggest you could play that once, and I suggest you at least do that before I tell you go play Blaster Master 2 on Sega Genesis, because no human should ever subject themselves to that ever. Ever! Because that game is bad, and I will keep telling you that Blaster Master 2 is a horrible video game, because it is. Then there's Blaster Master Overdrive, the game I want to forget exists. The thing is, what Blaster Master Overdrive isn't the game's fault. Blaster Master Overdrive is everything that I wanted from a Blaster Master game, but none of what I wanted. Is that my two problems were the story and the characters I don't give a shit about, and the only control scheme, me playing it with a Wiimote when you probably need to play that with a classic controller. But to the game's defense, shout out to Vic Island at Gaijin Works, who was making his best attempt to try to get an update for the game so it could be used with more than one control scheme. I would assume, and this is an assumption because this is something I thought about today when I knew I was going to do this, is that I wonder, are there Ocarina codes that would allow me to repurpose the buttons in a way that makes sense for a classic controller so I could enjoy the game decently? Because the game was alright. The game was alright. It's just that the controls with that Wiimote weren't the best in the world. And the story I was completely dismissed from, because it was like a hard reboot of a movie, and that you go watch the movie like, oh, it's a hard reboot of this thing that I like, and you see it and it's like, what the fuck is this shit? That's what I went into Blaster Master Overdrive like, yo, this gonna be hot, and then I saw the story like, what the fuck? Do you want to know the story of Blaster Master Overdrive? Because you got 2 seconds, I'll tell you. Oh wait, I'm taking your 2 seconds from you. The story of Blaster Master Overdrive is, there's this scientist, and then there's a meteor, I think, and then monsters come up out the ground, and these monsters that come up from out the ground kill his whole family or some shit. So in order to get revenge on the monsters that killed his whole family, he builds Sophia, and he gives himself a suit and goes underground to hunt these things. And I'm like, huh? Like, question 1, who is you? Question 2, I don't care. Because that's not a question, so question 1 still stands, because it also stands for question 2, because who cares? Blaster Master Overdrive was supposed to be a great video game, and it just failed on every conceivable level. There were things, it's like the controls, it's like the story, I was kind of like rolling my eyes at it, and it was the controls with that Wiimote that didn't allow me to finish it. Because I played the game enough to know that I wanted to play it, but the controls frustrated me so much. I was just like, fuck it, no, I'm not even gonna do this shit to myself. Blaster Master Overdrive is a game I think that I want to go back and revisit now because I think that I am in the proper headspace to go revisit it. I think that because it's that back in 2009 is that I had an open mind, but my mind isn't as open as 2016 Uncle Triple. I really think I could really sit down and I could power through the game if that's what I really wanted to do and not get frustrated because the controls aren't what I like. That I could get over that the game doesn't have Jason or Fred or anything like that that I become familiar with a game that I love so much. That I really think that Blaster Master Overdrive is a game that I could go back and at least play. I would never make myself suffer through Blaster Master 2. I wouldn't do it. I would play Blasting again because that game is decent enough for me to be like, yo, I can fuck with this. Enemy Below, that game is like the bonus mode to Blaster Master, so I could play that. And Blaster Master Jr. isn't technically a Blaster Master game, so I'm not playing that any fucking way. The point of all of this is the following. Inti creates the people responsible for all that stuff I spent like 12 or 13 minutes talking about at the beginning of this are remaking a video game that means so much to me that was a pillar of my early video game development, and I am fucking excited that they are. That could have been, that right there could have been the whole video. Yo, what's up? You know what it is. Your boy Triple. Blah, 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 blah. Inti Creates is remaking Blaster Master. Holy fucking shit, my jaw's on the floor. Thank you for coming. I'll see you next week for X-Aid. That's what the video should have been. That's what it should have been. Let's just be for real. You really didn't need the Inti Creates history, but I needed time to talk about that because they deserve to have their history talked about. And they're also working on my waifu Shantae's game, but that's another conversation. We'll talk more about Shantae, when all those games drop. Hopefully you got you a copy from you got you some PS4 copies from Limited Run Games. They doing their thing over there. Go pre-order Skullgirls or something so you can get Japanese people in it or something if you're into that. Look. It looks like my timetable for playing Blaster Master has been pushed up. That's just what it looks like. It looks like before Blaster Master Zero comes out, we're just going to have a fun time with Jason and Sophia exploring the world and trying to find our pet frog, Fred. That's it. I know I'm saying that, and I know me, but because things are changing, there's more of a chance of that actually happening before when it didn't. Also note to self, I want to play Super Spy Hunter since we are talking about Sunsoft games. But technically it's not Super Spy Hunter. But we'll talk about that another time. But look, Internet, thank you for sitting with me for half an hour while I sit here and talk about the importance of Inti Creates and how important Blaster Master is to me because, Blaster Master is an amazing video game. Like I said earlier, I could beat that game in my sleep. It used to be I used to play the game so much. When I was coming up, that was one of the games that stayed in the Nintendo. I came up with that game. I love that game to death, and I'm just glad that the game is getting another chance. That's what I'm most excited about. That a game that I love is getting another chance by a group of people that I know and can trust that will show that franchise the respect and love it deserves. If you would have told me anybody else was making that, I'd be a little especially after Blaster Master Overdrive was But this got the makings of being something amazingly special. So I just can't wait to see exactly what that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and buy out of here because you guys have heard enough from me today. We'll be back to XA next week and anything else I wish to speak on. And we got Ruby on Saturday because that's what we do now. Really quickly to add to the end of this, Atlanta is fucking amazing, and if you haven't been watching it, you should. So we got that out the way. The Cool will be out whenever the hell it be out because I'm an adult with adult things to do or something or another, but whatever. With all of these things being said, I am, of course, the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And, of course, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And with that, I will holler at you guys next time, man. Peace out. One more thing, because there is one more thing that I do want to address, because I thought about it after I stopped recording, is that I wonder if Inti creates cross Sunsoft thing is a thing now. I wonder what they could do with a game like Journey to Silius or Trip World Euphoria or Gimmick, like games like that that could use that Inti creates touch to be something amazing. Like, I'm not looking for them to like go and remake Galaxy Fight or go and remake Maku Waku 7. It would be cool for SNK to include them in the King of Fighters 14, because the more Arena and Rumi I can have at the same place at the same time, the happier I am. You know what I'm saying? You probably would end up in a situation like that, having two separate teams, one for Galaxy Fight and one for Waku Waku 7. And the Waku Waku 7 team would probably be Arena, Rye, and I would either take probably Dandy J. Yeah, Arena, Rye, and Dandy J. I would do that. For Team Galaxy Fight, Rumi, Jury, and probably even Raw for G.O.D. You take your pick. You do something with that. Hell, if you want to put Bonus Kun in there, do whatever the hell you want. But this has the makings of being something amazing in the future. And since I'm putting out all my thoughts for the universe to hear, dear universe, fuck with your boy for a second. If you could get that boom to like get on that grid release, you know what I'm saying, on like Xbox 4, PS1, and Steam, yo, a player would appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I would. It's like, if you could make, wait for it after they're finished doing whatever they doing with Shantae, that they can remake, let's see, Little Nemo the Dream Master, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and Darkwing Duck on some HD remix level shit, I'd appreciate that too. And something about Mortal Kombat Falcon Revenge being released on the virtual console. I don't know. These are things, maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying, these are just some of the things that I could use, like, in my immediate future. So, now that I've spoken them out to the universe, maybe universe, you'll bless me with some of these things, because I've been a good boy. At least I think I have. So, with all of that being said, I am, of course, the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And I'd like to thank you once again for joining me for this ad-nil, for the episode you just listened to of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And with that, I urge you to go find the video of Data East Cross Sunsoft, because I just thought about that shit, and that video was so amazing. If only that game was real. If only Data East Cross Sunsoft was a real thing. But you should go find that video, like, as soon as you're done with this, like, now. So, with now being said that you got to go watch the Data East Cross Sunsoft video, I will holler at you guys next time, man. Peace out.